So hello guys, and welcome to the 4th episode of the 12 Games of Switchmas, and today I will be talking about Fire Emblem Engage, which is actually my first Fire Emblem game if you don't count Fire Emblem Heroes, which I used the grind for my Nintendo Platinum points. But Fire Emblem Engage, it's really the first experience I've fully had with Fire Emblem, and I'd have to say, like, it does have some flaws, but it's pretty good. Like, gameplay-wise, it's definitely like a great entry point to the series for anyone who's been interested in playing Fire Emblem but haven't. So I'd say that as someone whose like first Fire Emblem game is Engage, I would definitely say that. And it kind of makes me want to play the other Fire Emblem games since I've heard a lot of great things about some of them. So yeah, like the gameplay here, like I said, is great. Like the battles and everything, they play out really well. I like how the system works since like you have different characters with different weapons, and there's also like different advantages you can different characters have over certain opponents through the weapons triangle, which I think is pretty cool. Definitely kind of adds to like the whole core strategy of this game. And yeah, there's a lot of characters to work with, and they also kind of added a new feature here with the emblem rings, which is really cool, and I'll get into that in a little bit, but there's definitely a lot of depth to the battles here, and I would definitely say it's really fun and one of the best like strategy RPGs I've played in terms of like gameplay and everything. So just from purely gameplay alone, it's great. And I have heard like a lot of people say that this is definitely a very strong Fire Emblem game, like gameplay wise. But story wise, it does tend to be a little weaker. That's definitely a criticism that I've heard, and I kind of agree with. Even though this is my first Fire Emblem game, I do have an expectation when it comes with like JRPGs and things, since I'm a huge fan of like Xenoblade and like Xenoblade 3 and everything, so that's kind of my expectation there, but it didn't really meet that. It was like the story is kind of shallow. The writing for some of the characters just kind of falls flat at times, and it's definitely not very good. Though I will give it that I do kind of like some of the characters. I do like the main character, Alir, the Divine Dragon. Like, I do like their design. I mean, I know some people think it looks a little goofy, but I think it looks kind of interesting. It looks a little more interesting than some of the protagonists in some of the other Fire Emblem games. It's definitely pretty memorable, like, since it has, like, the, blue and red hair. Like, some people are saying it's, like, the toothpaste, like, the toothpaste character, but yeah, so, the story and characters aren't great, but I do like some elements of this game, like, in terms of presentation. The art style looks great. It looks, I think it looks really good. Some people don't necessarily like it, but I think it looks pretty good. I mean, graphically it looks pretty good for the Switch as well, even though it does struggle at some points, it seems, in some of the areas, but for the most part it looks pretty good. It is developed by Intelligent Systems, who also makes the Paper Mario games, so I mean, it looks pretty good, I'd say. Like, Intelligent Systems is used to working with like different styles and like art styles and things, so I think it looks pretty good there. And then there's also the fact that this game kind of acts as like a celebration of the series, which I also think is pretty cool as well. It basically has the emblem rings, as I mentioned before, but basically they're references to past Fire Emblem games, since it has like different protagonists from throughout the series, and I actually recognize quite a lot of these characters, since they're conveniently in Super Smash Bros. So, I mean, maybe there's a positive to having so many Fire Emblem characters in Smash. I actually recognize a lot of Fire Emblem characters, like Marth, Lucina, Roy, Ike, Corrin, Byleth. Different characters like that I actually recognize, which I think is kind of funny, but yeah, I think it's pretty cool that they reference different Fire Emblem games here, and I definitely want to play some of the other Fire Emblem games, since I heard like a lot of them were really good. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool that this kind of acts like a celebration of the series, and I wish there were more like Fire Emblem games available on the Switch. Like, it's unfortunate that they like put the first game up fully translated and then they like took it off the eShop for some reason, and it hasn't been back since, even though Nintendo moved on from that weird like strategy they were doing with like putting games up for like a limited time. I mean, they really should have like relisted like the original Fire Emblem game, like the translated version of it, like for this game, since this game kind of acts as a celebration of the series and is also kind of like an extension of the 30th anniversary. But I don't know, it's pretty weird. But yeah, so anyways, Fire Emblem Engage is pretty good, I would say, despite its flaws with the story. But yeah, so anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Twitter if you want to. Goodbye.